Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ahmad Ikmal bin Khairul. To answer the first question, network carriers operate a network of scheduled flight services to and from their airports. These hubs are in the countries or regions where they are registered because they can maximize their air traffic use rights. One or more flights can be used to transport passengers and goods between any 2 points on the network. Alliances partners may take note one or more sectors or multiple sector journey and may use partner airline codes to sell sector they do not operate. Passengers choose network airline based on various factors including service levels and frequent flyer awards, and often wait travel time at lower price. Therefore, multiple routes can be detoured through the network airline hub export to obtain attractive fares. Air cargo is even more suitable for this circuit line in exchange for an acceptable end-to-end delivery time and price. This is because as long as the carrier delivers the goods in accordance with the contract, the shipper or freight forwarder does not need to know the road. Most network carriers use a major hub's airport to book short and long-haul flights, with as many as possible connecting with one another without requiring too long of a connection time. Debodied airplanes with a large lower deck cargo capacity are typically used for long-haul passenger flights. Freight aircraft flights serve the denser air cargo markets, which are complemented by these flights. So for the integrated cargo network is a coordinate freight network is dealing with the cargo, which give their worldwide organization to expand tanker use and streamlines stomach limit. The execution of the center and torque procedure interfacing with each market to improve the proficiency of air freight markets. The freight shipment will be founded on the accessibility of timetable with the administration. So for the second question, explain the ideal low-cost carrier are able to provide more service to freight forwarder. So for my answer is low-cost carrier refers to a certain type of airline. Cheaper, no frills or budget airlines are the most common term used to categorize these types of airlines. The bulk of LCC bookings are for short-haul flights. LCCs are less expensive than traditional modes of transportation because they limit the services and products they offer as standard and charge extra for extras. The operational costs of low-cost carrier are lower than those of other airlines. Passengers benefit from lower ticket rates, but this corporation recoup their losses by charging for a variety of extras including as meals, priority boarding, seat assignment, and luggage. If these aren't too many people on the trips, the airlines will let freight forwarders to use the service, which involve loading cargo onto lower deck. Airlines will benefit greatly from this because they will be able to save money on transportation. Take aviation fuel, for example. Aside from that, airlines will occasionally use cargo decks to load passengers. Because of the COVID-19 outbreak, for example, most countries have closed their airports to passengers. As a result, because there are no passengers, airline will begin offering space cargo services for freight forwarders to carry goods. They will open the service to avoid losses. Unit load devices are frequently frequently used by airlines to store goods on board planes. Forwarders will bundle items from several or more shipments or more shippers and deliver them to a single destination. As a result, the plane's space will be reduced. It will also have a significant positive impact on the airline industry. Furthermore, Etihad Cargo also provide this type of service, which is entails loading cargo onto the aircraft. For the third question is, the answer is, meaning of a cargo transport is the exchange of an item starting with one point, then onto the next on the planet via air. The airplane utilized in these cases have a more extensive full edge than the travelers which expand their ability. Nonetheless, not everything items can be conveyed by utilization air transportation. Etihad Cargo give numerous items in their administration like Pharma Life, Fresh Forward, Life Animal, Flight Valet and others else. So I will only choose 3 product, which is Pharma Life, Life Animal and Fresh Forward. So for the first is Pharma Life is drug or medicine shipment that the main transport in the CEIV Pharma IATA. CEIV Pharma IATA is a moving medical care item via air needs the foundation of complex strategies to keep a drug or medicine shipments uprightness. It requires applicated gear, storage space, blended dealing with system, and mostly importantly solid collaboration among the various chains accompanies. The present circumstance shows the clinical supplies, for example, immunization can be conveyed via air transportation and draw in transporter. Additionally, organization to utilize air transport since it is more solid and safe. Second point is live animals. Live animals is shipping creatures via air. Etihad Cargo offers ready answer for shipping creatures from family pets to worldwide protection projects. This shipment reasonable for all species, particularly wipe-out species since it needs exceptional consideration. It shows this item can urge transporters to utilize air since it is the quickest and most secure technique for movement. Last point is fresh forward. Fresh forward is instead to make the way toward moving new organic like fish and meat. They were the main transporter in CEIV Pharma IATA. New products of the soil are known as short-lived merchandise. That implies the merchandise have a restricted time frame of realistic usability and need to keep put away in an extraordinary spot. For example, the room temperature was controlled. Along these lines, the transporter can believe that the new produce will be shipped securely with air since it is finished with the assigned holder for short-lived products. So for the fourth question, I will answer. In my opinion, I would like to think in recovery process of gaining back a freight demand are a cooperation between worldwide coalition to improve effectiveness with shipment. It can forestall deviations to limit in load. It is on the grounds that it has an assortment of convenience to use to serve the interest. For instance, the air cargo from Malaysia need to convey the payload to Egypt. Simultaneously, they travel to Oman to merge the load to use the limit before it show up at the objective. Second is the recovery process of gaining back a freight demand is accepting new innovation in load activity to more proficient and more powerful. The new innovation that can be carried out noticeable all around payload, the board and activity, robots and mechanical technology. Thus, it can lessen time in activity, likewise diminish work costs, and can zeroing in on different perspectives to expand the interest. Models the Etihad Cargo new development on their booking strategy, the facilities the cycle and quick delicate occasions. It makes the transporter doesn't stress over their freight condition. Last but not least, the recovery process of gaining back a freight demand is work on techniques and enhance streams to accelerate the interaction. For example, in tradition methodology, it is on the grounds that it can abbreviate the lead time on load. Thus, the hour of lines for freight assessment can be diminished and facilitated the cycle for freedom. Models the strategies on clinical supplies. For example, the immunization for COVID-19 is on the grounds that the interest on immunization increment and need to supply quickly to the medical clinic. For the last question, the answer is gross domestic product is perhaps the most well-known market used to follow the strength of a country's economies. The estimation of a country's GDP contemplates various components about the nation's economy, including its utilization and speculation. Next is conversely, when GDP diminishing in the country, it shows the country is awful well-being and the worth of cash is diminished. At the point when the present circumstance happen, the effect request influence in light of the fact that low of fair interest and significant expense of activity. Along these lines, the financial banker flees from the country on the grounds that would prefer not to exploit or put resources into the country as a result of the shaky economy in the country. The present circumstance make other transportation, for example, the increment due to the minimal expense in activity for import and fare for the sea load. For the last answer is GDP identified with the effort required since when GDP expanding in the country. It can draw in financial bankers from worldwide to put resources into our country that makes the effort request increment. Therefore, it allows the income of country and organization to grow more rapidly. In the meantime, the productivity of the company can increase more orderly well. Along these lines, the government contributes more through export and imports to assist the needs or necessities of the country. That's all from me. Thank you.